Hello, guys. Welcome to The Unravel. So, our goal today is just to do a recap of the Anatomy of Poverty series. And we had part one, two, three, and four. And we just felt a need to do a general recap of what we learned on those series discussing poverty. Um, some of you here, all of you actually, were part of those sessions. So we'll tackle questions and tackle opinions of the topic. So Damilola is here, Mimi Do is here, and Abigail. So we are gender sensitive. So we'll just give it to all the ladies. All right, so let's start with Dami. So what were your views on the conversation?
Okay, so my views on conversation was towards the fourth episode which we had on. I like my mind was like it was mind blown. I was mind blown. Sorry for the first, second, and third, and everything actually stood out for me. But I'm just going to give a recap on the parts I want to pick. So, I think the part I really enjoyed most was I enjoyed everything, but the part that's from the actual I had to ask questions were about the multiple streams of income and having the main stream of income. And then, sorry, that context where we say poor people only earn once. I'd always thought, I mean, when somebody told me that months ago, I'm like, what do you mean by I'm working? Like, I'm working and I'm earning. So, why, if I cannot depend, if I'm working because, Nigerian way of payment, like the way we earn salary, sorry, the way we collect salaries is just once in a month. So I've always thought since if I had worked and I'm paid, I could really just live on that. And then yesterday I understand that even if you're in a job, like you have to work, and there's nothing wrong in you working on a job and earning a salary. But now it is worst when you earn just once in a month, and then you don't have multiple streams of income. And then when you don't have multiple streams of income, you have to be very sure that those multiple streams of income now links to the foresight, insight, in fact, most especially insights. You need to know what you are doing. That's where the danger is, where you see somebody having so many um places they earn from, even if it's 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, but then there's no financial management on it. Like you just squander it before the month end. So I learned that too. And then I learned that people people think poor people think short term. So I told a friend, sorry, I told my friends everything. So I told my friend, I was like, do you know that most times I take offenses very, very quickly, and it's not really good because you really start treating people right if you really don't want to be poor. If you start thinking short term, you pick offenses very easily. You when somebody does something, and then you're not seeing far. You're seeing for that moment, and then you talk to anybody anyhow, and it's really is going to block those possibilities of you even ever getting rich. So I learned that too, and then let me give it to. I learned so much, but I don't want to say it all.
Okay, yeah, so let me respond to this you said. So, yeah, I agree. Like I said also on that episode, that was probably, in my mind was like the best point when we said poor people earn money once a month. And um, I also said that most people who say things like being employed is a way that ensures you are never a millionaire. I say people who said that probably said that with good intentions, but said it wrongly. Because you can be employed and still be a millionaire. You can be employed and on that job make millions on the job, or use your payment from the job to create possibilities from different earnings that will make you a millionaire. So I think that they had good intentions, but probably conveyed the message very harshly and probably very wrongly. So nobody, however big you're earning, even if you are the employer, it's not just for people on the job. Even if you're the one giving the job, as a business owner, as an employer, if you're earning money only once a month, you are actually in the poverty zone. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, everyone who is matured enough to earn should earn more than once a month. It just makes no sense that you have to wait for a salary every single point of your life. It makes no point. And what is the essence of having a salary if the salary cannot become a seed for bigger harvest? I mean, what's the point of it? If you don't have a place to plunge in your salary or your earnings or your income or your profits from any business, let's say you have even one business, all right, and you're making money once a month from one business. If you don't have a place to reinvest that, to multiply that, then what's really the point? Eventually, that income will just become something you use to keep solving problems. And if you're lucky, you may have little to save. The thing about problems is that problems tend to grow as your income grows.
True.
In many cases, problems tend to even grow faster than your income grows. So when you are earning money from a business or from a job at, let's say, 5 naira a month, your problem will jump to 7 naira. When your salary increases to 10 naira per month, or your profit increases to 10 naira per month, somehow your problem will find a way to jump to 15 naira per month. Somehow it looks like your problems are always ahead of your financial growth. So you need to find a way to create that balance. And then we're going to be doing a series very soon on assets and liabilities, and I'll be teaching more about that. But the reason why earnings are very critical is because if you don't increase your earnings, all your money will ever do for you is catch up with problems. And that's not the way for anyone to live. So it's important that everybody who is old enough, matured enough to earn money should find a way at the right time to earn more than once a month. All right. So that's basically the context for what she's saying. And the oversight, foresight, and
So
insight.
everything was
We will get into that
Okay.
later. Yeah. So okay, Abigail.
Okay, so for me, something I picked from the conversation, we talked about our mindset that poverty is a mentality, right? And no matter the amount of money you have, everything will still fall back to the level of your mindset. Because we've seen people who probably win lottery of, let's say, 2 billion, and then at the end of the day, it falls back to their mindset. So for us to, we talked about this is right? Using that as an analogy. So for you to get out of a thing, you must know exactly the symptoms of the problem. And part of what we spoke about is the mentality of poverty. So to get out of poverty, you must have a refined mentality. Don't think small. Let your mind change, because no matter what you have, whether you have 5 naira, 10,000, 100,000, everything will still fall back to your mentality. So if you build your mind with the right mindset, you are going to grow out of poverty. Aside that, we also spoke about, I think towards the last, this first part, we talked about it towards the first episode, and then the last episode we spoke about your earning capacity. In as much as you are changing your mindset, you should also increase your earning capacity. You shouldn't just sit at a particular spot and expect growth to happen, or and expect that maybe if I stay on this spot long enough, just like that, without doing other things, I'll just get to wealth. No, it doesn't happen that way. That's part of what I learned from the podcast. I learned that as you are, no matter where you find yourself, whether you are starting a job as a cleaner or graphic designer, architect, what you should keep doing as the day goes by is increase your earning capacity. Even if you are still on a job, increase your earning capacity by becoming better at that point. What can I do more? What can I adjust? What can I change the tune to make sure that my earning capacity keeps going higher? For me, those two things stood out.
So earning capacity. Thank you, Abby. So earning capacity, we said that it's as potent as earning frequency. So you need to build the capacity to earn, and you asked a question on that episode, and I said that you can actually increase your earning capacity on one stream. So you can increase your streams of income, but that's not enough, because sometimes you can have 20 streams of income and they're all bad streams. When you ask that question. So it's not just about having multiple streams of income. It's first starting to increase your earning capacity. And like you already said, you can be on a job or on one business and increase the prospects of earning more on that same business. So a business where you were earning 5 naira, you can increase the capacity to earn 10 naira on that same business. You can also increase the capacity to earn 20 naira on that same business. You don't even have to change lanes. On one business, you can increase your earning capacity. And then you can also increase your earning frequency, which is how often you earn. What was the first thing you said?
We spoke about your mindset.
The mindset, yeah. So, and I think that's where most people miss it. I think that most people who aspire for wealth or for financial freedom always think that it is substance based, right? People think that it's substance based, and that's where they miss it. So they keep pursuing substance and they still end up in poverty. Meanwhile, true wealth or financial freedom is first essence based. That's what we said.
Yes.
I think that's the first episode.
Yes, first.
That wealth and financial freedom is first essence based, is first in the nature than it is in the situation. But many times when we combat poverty from the situation and not from the nature. However much you invest in the situation, you will still come back to the level of your nature. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So a man who is angry by nature, whatever you give to him, that anger will spoil it. That thing will still come down to the level of his anger because you have not fixed the nature. So if you like, put him the funniest movie. When he's done laughing, everything will still collapse back to the level of his nature. So the same thing with poverty and financial freedom. We are as financially free as our nature permits. So when you have not essentially worked on your nature, whatever you now do in your situation cannot stay. All right? Whatever you have not worked on in the essence, whatever you do in substance, will not stay. So the real bedrock for riches, financial freedom, or poverty and lack is to first work on the state of your mind. Because like we said in pretty much all the episodes, a poor man can have money and a rich man can be broke.
Yeah.
A rich man is a rich man even if he's broke. A poor man is a poor man even when he has money. Because it still comes back to the state of their minds. All right? Maybe though. So.
Okay, so it was actually kind of fun because throughout the lessons, I didn't actually relate it to being rich or poor. I rather saw character and virtue throughout the lessons because growing up, there are some people that at a very early stage, their minds actually grew. Like they became very matured. Imagine someone 12 years old thinking like a 25 years old. So I just feel, to me, being rich and poor, like someone that is your very good student and has been attentive, of course, you know that richness is not about money. It's about your mind, your character, and the greatness you can possess, actually. So I feel being rich or poor is actually your mindset and how you can handle things even from a very little stage. Because sometimes you might be rich, but you don't know.
Yeah.
You might be great, but you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's the rate at which you can handle things that matters a lot. So I didn't actually see the lessons more of like financial growth, long term, short term. Actually just related them to character and virtue.
Yeah, and I think we established that in the very first episode, that the fundamentals of the conversation was not limited to finances. And we said that the poverty in context was not just poverty of money, it could be poverty of character, it could be poverty in marriage, it could be poverty in relationships, in networks. So the principles that we learned across the 4 episodes weren't just tailored for finances. It was meant, there were principles that, like we said, even the foresight, the insight, the oversight, were principles that you can apply to anything. And we said that sometimes people have even left marriages because they lacked the oversight. They had foresight of what they wanted their marriage to look like. And on the journey to becoming what they saw through their foresight, there's an obstacle. Maybe the obstacle is that their mother-in-law is trying to destroy their lives, all right? So they now shortchange their foresight on the premise of the obstacle because they didn't have oversight. If they had oversight, they would have seen that there are many ways to walk around a terrible mother-in-law. You know what I'm saying, right? Because oversight gives you the advantage of height. You go above the level of foresight and you see how things connect on the broader spectrum. All right. So those principles are principles that transcend making money. All right. So even though they will help you escape financial poverty, it will also help you escape other forms of poverty. And I think that's the real objective of the conversation. And that's why the part of the mindset is critical. Because if it's all money based, then the outcome should be all money based. So but the outcome is not essentially money based. So poverty by nature, even when you go through scriptures, poverty by nature is beyond money. There are many ways that people are poor. Okay, and the goal here is to tackle every form of unhealthy poverty, whether it's in money or it's in character or it's in a person's marriage. But I mean, the goal is to have principles that takes us out of any form of poverty. There was something else you said. What else did you say?
She was talking about character and virtue.
Yeah, no, something else again. I can't remember what else. I've forgotten.
About growing at a little age.
Yeah, no, you said something about being rich or being
Great
great and
in-
not being aware.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, so that's very important to touch because, so when we began the series, we said that the whole idea was to understand the symptoms of poverty, because sometimes one of the ways you live healthy is to understand the symptoms of certain sicknesses. So when you see the symptoms, you can now take the medication required to return or restore your health, right? And I also said that sometimes you may be in health and not even realize you are healthy. You know what I'm saying? You may be wealthy, but you don't feel like you are wealthy. You may be great and not feel like you are great. You may be rich, and then we define what riches is. All right? When the capacity of your nature and the nature of your capacity allows you to reasonably and sufficiently reach out to other people and reach out to your future. That's how we define riches. So some people are already living in that reality where the nature of their capacity and the capacity of their nature allows them to reach other people and reach their future. Once you can achieve that, you're already rich. Once you are solving problems beyond yourself, you're already rich. So many people who are thinking they are poor are actually rich. Many people who are thinking they are small are actually great, but they don't know it. And they are pursuing something that they already have. Like they would say back in the day, don't look for no, you're looking for something in Sokoto
When you see your
that is in your Sokoto. All right. So yeah. So many people are actually searching for something that they already have. Yeah. Abby?
Okay, yes. So we spoke about, I just want to lay a little emphasis on the foresight and oversight thing because sometimes I can't remember the exact episode we spoke about it, but we talked about you being probably at a job or something, but you are not seeing the possibilities that that thing can open for you in the future. And sometimes we tend to look down on this place we are currently. But the truth is, if you give your best, we spoke about mindset already. If you have the right mindset and you give your best at that particular position you find yourself, that place can open a bigger opportunity for you. Still boils down, I'll use this particular scripture that says, whatever the hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. Because where you are at has the potency to get you to where you think you want to get to. You might not see the possibilities, but by the time you use foresight and you use oversight, like we mentioned, you in the long run, maybe not at that particular point, but in the long run, you see the possibilities that that place can open for you. Sometimes you may not see it, but if you give it some years, if you have given your best at that point, you will see the reward for that place you give your best as. We spoke about probably serving at a place for like a year or two or three. Sometimes you may not see the reward immediately, but if you give your best at that point, it will open a greater door for you. Another thing I learned that stayed with me, we spoke about we having a dream. Let's say I want to achieve this, that, and that, and that, and then you see yourself at that position, maybe at a shorter time than you imagined. Maybe you didn't dream big enough, and then you find yourself in that position. Don't stop dreaming or don't relax and I've gotten to my alpha location, so this is where I would plateau. We should dream. If you have achieved that particular dream, dream higher than that point so that you can keep going forward. For me personally, that stuck with me because at some point I found myself in a place where I didn't think I would arrive at that position that earlier. And it felt like, oh, this is where I'm going to build my tents. I'm here. But I realized that the fact that you arrived there earlier should also communicate a message to you that you have capacity for more. So instead of you relaxing, dream higher than that position where you are at and give your best at that position so that it can take you to the next position. There's something the scripture tells us, I think, in Acts, that with signs following, basically that's the point. But sometimes you have to just take the step forward, or you have to just dream. We spoke about hope too. Sometimes you may be in a point of, it just feels like there's nothing. It just feels like there's nothing. Maybe it's just darkness you are seeing around. Don't let go of hope. Don't don't look down on hope. The situation may not look like it, but hold on to hope. Sometimes all you need to keep going is hope that tomorrow will be better. Don't let it go. Just keep holding on to it, and you'll see the reward in
I think
front
I
of
have
Let
a
me add
question.
something.
Okay, you
Yes,
want to
sir.
add something? Right,
Yes.
please.
Okay, so there was this time I had this heated conversation with a friend. So she was telling me that someone who is hardworking actually is more better than someone that is way smarter to her. So and I was like,
Someone that's
no,
hardworking is
yes,
better than one.
someone that is way smarter.
Way
Smarter.
smarter. Okay, smarter.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a way she defined this. She said smart, it can be very intelligent and all, but if you can't put your hands together to do some things, you're not, like, you can't make it in life. So that was the argument. So me, I was on the side of no. Someone that is way smarter actually has more prospects than someone that is hardworking. And these are the examples I gave her. I was like, okay, you cannot say a man working in the site is more like, you're going to see the man being so successful more than a guy that knows how to operate his computer, putting on all the knowledge and everything just to head somewhere. And she was like, okay, what if this computer packs up one day and this guy doesn't know how to go out and work and stuff like that? So I also like if you actually throw more lights on that aspect too.
Okay. So let me start with Abigail. So the thing that caught me when you were speaking was the aspect of the seed, and I think we'll do more about that when we're talking about management, because one of the principles of management is working around seeds. Almost everything that life throws at you will come first in the form of a seed. All right. So most people usually undermine the prospect and the future of small things. Okay. And then they undermine the prospects and the future of small moments. And in those small moments are the possibilities of bigger things. And that also happens a lot because people have short-term thinking. When you think short-term, you undermine small moments. What you think are small moments can have in them opportunities for great possibilities. So many people miss out on various kinds of freedom, financial freedom, and all kinds of freedom because they miss out on small moments and small seeds, which carry in them potentials of very massive future. And to what you said, we have a podcast. I don't think we've released a podcast yet.
hard work and smart work.
Yeah, we did a podcast on smart work and hard work. And this has been my position on the subject, is that smart work is actually a type of hard work. Now, when you describe a guy who is carrying blocks on his side by side a guy who is carrying a laptop around and working on a software, there are two different kinds of work. It would be unfair to separate them as smart and hard. It's unfair to both of them because you make it look as though the guy on the computer is not a hard worker and the guy on site is not a smart worker. The guy on site in doing his labor work can work smart. The guy who is on the computer doing his computer work can work hard. So when you say that the guy on the computer is a smart worker and the guy on the field is a hard worker, you are being unfair to both of them. Because in a way, you are taking away from who they are. Now, in the context of work, there is what is called hard work. Whether you're on the computer or you are on site. In the context of work also, there's what they call smart work. Whether you're on the computer or you are on site. Now, I'm an architect. So for example, many years ago, when we mix concrete on the ground floor. Let's say you're doing a 2-floor, 3-floor building. You mix concrete on the ground floor, and then they put in the concrete into the pan or the bucket that they put on their head, and then they climb up the ramps to whatever floor where the concrete is required. Many years after, people, came up with a design. Number one now, where you can pump the concrete up with a machine. Number two, where you can have something lift up the concrete, and then you move it to the floor and then you pour it out, So you see, in that same scope of work, smartness have been introduced.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying, right? So even though the work by nature looks like hard work, you can still bring smart solutions to it. And that's the context when I think about a problem solver. A problem solver by design is a person who finds a way to initiate better solutions to old problems. In fact, a problem solver, in some cases, finds a way to initiate an improvement to old solutions. So he's not just finding a solution to an old problem, he finds an old solution that's already solving a problem and improves an old solution. You see what I'm saying, right? All of that now comes down to smart work. But in that process, it is still hard work. Because this is my catch. My catch is that if smart work was easy work, everyone would do it. So smart work in itself is hard work. So the guy who eventually does something for 5 minutes and is paid 5 million naira took him hard work to qualify to be that guy whose 5 minutes is worth 5 million naira. You see my point now? So the thing I would say to address what the argument was about is that whatever work you are doing, bring smartness into it. And one of the ways to bring smartness into that work is to keep working hard. You are working right now, right? And one of the things that has made you to stand out is because you're a hard worker. And you're not just a hard worker, but there's smartness in your hard work. Are you seeing that now? So many people are actually hard workers, but there's no smartness in their hard work. So the yield of their work is not commensurate to the work. Then the person who is also very, very smart, but doesn't want to work, will not get the yield of their smartness. Because however smart you are, you must still put in the work. Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or any of them are probably the hardest workers you know. And they almost qualify as geniuses. But they're like the hardest workers. They probably sleep fewer hours than you do. You see my point now? So the smartness that they possess do not take away from the commitment to consistent hard work. So the summary of the matter is that smart work is a form of hard work. It's hard work to work smart. Does that make any sense? Yeah. Okay, Damila, you're going to say something.
Oh, sorry. I almost forgot my question. Okay, so Abby was mentioning about insight, foresight. When you have foresight, it's more like a vision, and insight and oversight, that's to see the possibilities. So let's say I have a foresight about what I want to be in the future, and I've tried possibilities, putting into oversight to see the possibilities, and then insight, that's the truth, understanding of the truth. Is there a point where one has to give up? Like maybe the foresight is not, you've checked the possibilities, you've checked the truths. Is there a time when the foresight just goes off, like this is not the goal anymore?
Yeah, I mean, foresights are very forceful because, like we said on the episode, foresight is a kind of vision. It's your ability to see the potential of the future that you desire. Yeah. That's how we define the foresight, right? Seeing a future that you desire. So it's very forceful. Usually, it's hard to unsee foresight. And we say that foresight is different from long-term thinking. True. Long-term thinking is time-based. Foresight is place-based. True. It has an address. It's like long-term thinking with an address. That's what we said. So it's like when you so years ago I was in Kenya, and we were having, I think I've told this story before. We're having a restaurant. We're having dinner in a very beautiful restaurant. Beautiful restaurant. Then I walked into. I was going to use a restroom.
Yes,
You
you
know.
mentioned.
Yeah. Walked
That
into
experience.
the restroom, and then somebody had messed up the floor. I can't unsee it. That thing back, it is here. You know. So that's the way foresight is, good or bad. It's not the future you can unsee. However, that you've seen it does not guarantee that it will come true. Because many times on your way to what you have seen, to the place you have seen, like we did that illustration with you, Antonia,
Yes.
and Joseph, sometimes there could be obstructions.
True.
You have seen yourself to be married at 25, and then you go into a courtship at 23, and then just about when you're about 25, the guy breaks up with you.
That's a strong.
So you see my point? So now there's an obstruction, there's a hindrance to the place you saw yourself being at 25. Now, the issue here now is, how do you handle that limitation? Do you give up on the dream? You can't do that. So you bring back long-term thinking. That even if it looks like something's trying to stop you from the place, you look far enough into a future time again where that place is still possible. So even if I didn't get married at 25, I can still attain the kind of happiness I dreamt of at 27.
Okay.
I was going to get married at 24, 25. That's always been a dream of mine, to marry at 25. And I had done some permutations, some calculations. If I marry at 25, at 50, my first child will be 14 years. I've done all that kind of math, 25 years old, something like that. You know, at 40, my first child will be 14 years old. You know, I will retire at this age. So I've done all that math, and I got married at 25. And many of you who know my story, at 26, I lost my late wife. All right? Does that mean that my foresight was a waste? Does that mean that my dreams have been shattered? Does it mean that my vision is destroyed? No. I just have to reset my long-term thinking to a different time with the same possibility. That's all I did. So the home I dreamt of building, the life I dreamt of having, had to just be reset. I didn't change the texture of that vision. I just changed the timing of it. You see that now? And found a way to still make it work. Some people get married with a dream to have 4 children before they're 40 years old. And they get married to a beautiful, lovely wife. And then they kept trying to have kids for 10 years. I couldn't have kids for 10 years. So what happens? Do you now destroy your dream of ever having children? No, you shouldn't. In some cases, medically or spiritually, they have been told that they can never give birth to a child. And I've said somewhere before, I was preaching somewhere before, some while back, and I said that, especially this is more for even people of faith, if you have to wait 15 years, 20 years to give birth to a child, you are doing something wrong. And I'll explain. Because if you want to have a child, for example, I became a father before my wife gave birth to a child. How did that happen? Because I was mentoring people.
Wisdom.
You see, yes, I attained fatherhood before I became a biological father. Because not every man who has a biological child qualifies to be a father.
Very true. Very true.
And you can be a father without having biological children. So I don't understand the logic of waiting 20 years to give birth to your biological child, when there are like 1 million children longing, needing adoption. So after 10 years of waiting, with all due respect to such families, consider adopting a child, even if it's just one. Either by direct means, like adopting a child properly, legally, or helping other children. that are not carrying your surname. Just being a father or being a mother to other children. So you see, that is a way of still attaining your vision in spite of the obstruction, and you can only do that by oversight. So oversight tells you that even if I have to wait 10 years to have a child, I can still be a father. There are still other ways to be a father legally, righteously, honorably, by oversight. And then you now develop the insight of fatherhood. If you have the insight of fatherhood, you come to learn that I must not impregnate a woman to become a father. All right? So whatever the obstacles are, I'm trying to say that you can't unsee a vision. If it's truly a vision, you can't unsee it. We had a restaurant, I said that story. We had a restaurant in Abuja, I had to close it down. We put the second one, I closed it down. But I didn't unsee the vision of the restaurant. You see that now? Yes. But many times we lack the insight, we lack the foresight, we lack the oversight. So we don't have what it takes to push long enough. But what you have, if it is oversight, you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee it. You will still go for it. You will still find a way around it. Like every location, foresight, we said, is desired location, right?
Yes.
Like every location, there are usually more than one route to get there.
True.
So when you go to this is very powerful. When you have foresight, you're on the route. Okay, I'm on this road, I'm going to Makodi, for example. This is a road that I know. So I don't know any other road. This is a road I know. However, if I engage oversight, I said that oversight sometimes is attained when you feed off the wisdom of other people. And when you ride on the shoulders of other people. So now I'm trying to get to Makodi, but I heard that the road that I know, which is the road through Kefi, is blocked. I could either cancel the journey or I go to Google Map. And when I type Makodi, it will probably show me 2 other routes to get there. So that app has the advantage of oversight. Because the app views from satellite and can tell me other routes and even give me the time differences. If you had gone the way you wanted to go, you would have gotten to Makodi in 4 hours. However, for 4.5 hours, if you go through this other route, you still get there. You see my point now? Yes. So many times, we stop at foresight, and that's the risk of stopping at foresight. There must be insight and there must be oversight. For any venture, like what Mimi said, it's not just about making money. Even for family-wise, having children, building a business, courtship, relationship. The guy broke my heart, the girl broke my heart, so I won't marry again. No, there are other ways, there are other routes. Okay, so what else? Okay.
And I think being patient with your dreams is one of it too. Because sometimes you might establish a dream at a very tender age. Now, it's how you work towards it that matters a lot. So there are some people that they get to a certain stage in life and they feel too comfortable, then they forget the dreams they once had. So because you are working or living with someone doesn't mean their preference automatically becomes your own. You definitely have a dream and you should work towards it. So some people now might interpret the lessons in other ways, being rich in your mind, being rich in your mind. But sometimes it's not only being rich in your mind, it's all about not giving up on yourself. So if you have a dream, I just feel you have to push it. You have to learn to accept the things you cannot change.
Yeah.
You might be in a certain place and okay, yeah, that's your source of income. Now, maybe you want to be a chef, you want to run a technology something, you want to build an app or work on something. You need to be patient with yourself because you might have all these business plans in your mind, you might have all the dreams, but you're not there yet. So because the fact you don't have the money to establish those things doesn't mean you should give up on yourself. You just need to give it time. And maybe you find yourself working in a space where it's not related to what you have in mind. But it doesn't mean you have to just forget about your dreams and focus on the other space. How do I put this? Okay, take it for example, you want to study automobile engineering, but you never had the opportunity to do that. Moving forward, you found yourself in a farm. So it doesn't mean you have to give up on the automobile engineering plan. You just have to work with the farm, source income, or look for ways to grow better. You don't even know when you will establish. So moving further in life, even if it's that farm that established you, moving further in life, I don't think you should give up on what you had in mind before.
Yeah, I agree. We should say that we had is it a podcast or a teaching? I don't know where it was when we dealt with this. When we said sometimes you must do what you hate.
Yeah, well, we talked about passion.
Exactly. Because sometimes we're a passion-driven generation. Follow your passion, follow your dream. Sometimes the way to follow your passion is to do something you hate long enough to afford you what it takes to do what you love. So the illusion to think that you will always have the privilege to do what you love is a fantasy, probably worse than a fantasy. It's not possible that you will always be given a chance to do something you love all the time. So many times you will end up doing something that you hate. It could be your career, it could be a medical doctor, but you hate being a doctor. And the real passion is singing. Some people will quickly go and quit studying medicine because they want to release an album. No, sometimes stay on that medicine for 5 years, even 10 years. And then you have all that you need to release 50 albums. While doing the medicine, keep singing, keep recording, keep singing, keep recording. But to say I must quit medicine because I must follow my passion. No, 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 sir. One of the ways to follow your passion is to gather the ingredients required to execute your passion. And those ingredients can come from skill, character, and financial resource that can only be found while you are doing a job that you hate. Like you already said, you want to be an automobile engineer, and then you are stuck in a farm. While you are there, use the tractor engine and learn everything you can learn.
Make the most out of it.
The spare time you have, go online and watch every video that can help you while you are still cultivating the cassava on that farm. Raise the money, and after 4 years, go back and follow your dreams or your passion. So there are certain times in life that the things that you hate is what carries the things you need to fund the things that you love. And the other thing you said very powerful is patience. We're going to do a series again, hopefully, on ideas. And I've done that before many times. And one of the things I say to people is that ideas can wait. We talk about ideas as though ideas, as it enters your mind, it must enter your hand. You can have an idea
You don't have it.
that may wait for 10 years. The idea for the hotel that we have has been there for over 10 years. The idea for the restaurant has been there for 10 years. And when you have seen by foresight or by long-term thinking, when you have seen some of this future bar, 10 years doesn't seem that long. If you have really seen it, I tell you, if you have truly seen it, 10 years won't feel that long because you'll be driven and everything that is given to you will be turned into fear. That is what happens to a man who is driven. Anything you give him, he will convert it into a fear. Bad, good, or ugly, he will use it as a fear. All right? And perhaps when you come faith-wise, you now begin to understand that all things are working together. Right? And that concept of all things working together is a very powerful concept. It didn't just say that God is working for your good. He's saying that all things work together for the good of them who love God and are called according to his purpose. Now, once you are in that alignment, it's not even God at work anymore. It's things at work. As in the disappointment is working for your good. As in the things that are happening to you are the ones doing the work. He didn't say, I will work for your good. He said, all things. So when you are driven, all things can be converted into fuel to push you. When that heartbreak happens, it will push you. When the hunger happens, it will push you. When the tiredness happens, when the fatigue happens, it will push you because you are driven, right? And if you are truly driven, it's powerful. People who are driven, who are genuinely driven by the right force, are not in a hurry. because they have the staying power. It's those who are not driven that shift very easily. They try here, it doesn't work.
No.
On dog food.
You understand? But if you're actually driven, you will stay. Joseph was driven. He saw the vision. He saw it. How it will happen, he doesn't know. From vision to pit, from pit to Potiphar, from Potiphar to prison. But that thing, he saw it. And I knew he saw it because he was hustling for it. He told the guys, the butler and the whatever,
If you people get to the palace,
when you hammer, remember me. You know what I'm saying? So you know that he's had that thing on his mind. He knew that this prison is not my end. Okay? And he never cut corners. If he had slept with his master's wife, he'd have probably attained that thing he saw maybe faster in his mind. But he didn't cut corners. Because driven people are not under pressure for speed. As we see it, speed is not really fast. But we think in our time that to have speed, you must be fast. And then that kills the character of patience. And many things will take time. Many things of true virtue must take time to unfold. And that's the thing that we lack. Yeah, you're going to say something when she was talking?
No. I'm just kind of affirming to what she was saying. I think you even mentioned about the a part. I think there was one time we had a discussion when you were about the foresight. You just give us the ends of insight, foresight, and you're like you have a goal, like you're working on your system and you're tired, so you have to rest. That's like you have the foresight, but then you have to rest. I don't know if that's insight, if that's the truth or so. I'm just trying to remember the conversation, but like you have to rest for that time, so that's to continue that's the vision you already have, and then try to work on the possibilities. So
A good example for that is traffic light.
hmm.
A man who is driving on a road like Abuja here, for example, who stops at a traffic light, do you call it delay if he stops? Why? I mean, he's trying to get to an important meeting, and the traffic light comes on red. And you say that I'm unstoppable. That's what you declared in church. You say, I am what?
Unstoppable.
Say it after me.
2024.
2024,
Unstoppable.
unstoppable. So why did you stop for the traffic lights?
Because you have to obey the law.
Yeah. And not just that you obey the law, it can save your life. That traffic light that stops you is an attempt to bring order. A violation of that order can result in collision. I see that now. So when you stopped at that traffic light, you saved your life. Number two, you were still progressing. It's a part of the progress that required that you stopped. So it's only an ignorant man that thinks that stopping is hindrance. There are many junctions of our lives that there are traffic lights. And we must still learn to stop. In stopping in those moments doesn't mean that you are not progressing.
Sometimes you have to come out of the picture to see.
Yes.
Like patience. Can we also ascribe that as being patient?
Exactly. And we don't have that engineering anymore. We must always be on the move in our generation. You must be on the move. Sometimes just stop.
Rest.
The only way to move forward is to stop. And we don't know that. You want to say something?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I listened to this valedictory speech one day, and this guy, he was graduating and he gave a speech. So he said it's very okay to always do it afraid, even though you don't know what you are doing.
Yeah.
Always try to do it afraid. And this got me confused. So in a situation whereby you find yourself maybe in a workspace or any environment and they ask you, can you do this? How about you don't know how to do it? Is it not okay to say no? I don't know how to do it. He actually meant it. What he meant was like always try to make an attempt. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean, but is it, you are like you don't even have any idea at all. It's not better to just come out outright and like, no, I don't know how to do this thing, or still do
Okay.
it afraid.
So I also have a question for you. Because at least I know where you work.
Yes.
Where you're working now, have you done it before?
Mm,
Yes or no?
sometimes.
Have you played that role before? The role that you occupy now at your job.
Okay, no.
So why did you take the job? Why didn't you just tell the man that I can't do the job?
Because, okay, part of what actually made it easy because it was the man actually made it easy for me because he was open, very open to you can actually learn on the job. It's okay to make mistakes. But a situation where you have a boss that is not understanding and is always based on you must do it right, what do you now do?
Because there are many things that you will do and learn on the job. Many things, right? Yeah, there are many things that you will do and learn on the job. I should give you an example.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Number one is parenting. When you give birth to your first child, have you ever been a mother before?
No.
Yeah. But you learn on the job. And in this context, you are learning on a job that the job is a human being. And you will still do well on that job, even when you are afraid. It's an illusion to think that mothers are not afraid. If you ask most mothers on their first child especially, they are more than afraid. All right? In fact, some of them begin to have that fear from pregnancy, like, hope this child will come out with two legs. Some kind of very funny to start coming up in their minds, right? So every mother starts off being afraid. And then the mother learns on the job. So there are many things that you have to do while you learn on the job. Many assignments, many tasks, many dreams that you learn while, in fact, the only way to learn is to learn on the job. Because there's some kind of jobs or some kind of things that you achieve that no matter what I tell you before you enter it, it will never help you. It will just look like theory. It is the experience that truly affords you the wisdom that you require. It's the experience in doing it that affords you the wisdom that you require. So when the guy gave that speech, I've not heard the speech though, but when he gave the speech and said, do it afraid, it doesn't mean that live in fear. It means that do it in spite of your fear. Okay? And it doesn't also mean that do it ignorant. You do it with the drive to learn while doing it and learning what it takes to do it while doing it. Same thing you're doing. Because whatever you're doing now, your job right now is not something you have done before. And even when you came for the job, it wasn't something that you had expected. And then bam, it hit you. And you took the job. And you are doing great at the job. All right? Yeah, so like that in many aspects of life. You will see certain things that it looks like, I've never done this before. There will always be a first time. There will always be a first time. So there's nothing wrong with attempting to learn on the job. There are certain jobs that are very sensitive that when it's given to you, you take your time to study, take your time to research before you engage. I've done that many times. When a client gives me something to do for which I haven't done before, I take my time to research it, to make phone calls. People have done it before. Sometimes even get help. Come and support me, come and guide me on what I need to do. All right? So there's nothing wrong with doing the job in spite of your fear. I think the English word for that is called courage. That's the outright definition of courage, to do what needs to be done regardless of your fears. I don't know how much time we have. I think that,
It's even worse when you are not even taking that bold step to even try new things.
yes,
It's dangerous.
Oh, yes. And that's my definition of failure. I said that you can't be a failure as long as you try. I think your refusal to try is what really makes you a failure. So people who truly try are never failures if you are truly trying. It is your refusal to try that makes you a failure. So I think this recap has
Okay.
recapped. You want to say something?
No, I don't know what to say. So
Okay.
what you have said is very, very okay to do it afraid or to do it with courage, like you said.
Yes, do it in spite of your fear. Do it in spite of your fear. Fear should not be the reason to back out. And like my wife once said, she said, when you fail forward. Even when you have to fail, don't never fail backwards. Because you can't avoid failing. Failing in itself is a requirement for success. Failing is not the opposite of success. Failing is a requirement for success. And when you understand that, you will now have to learn to fail forward. Okay, and failing is not the same thing as being a failure. So, same way that you are required to do the right thing even when you're afraid, is same way that you are required to fail, and even when you fail forward. Anything else?
If you know
Thank you
you
so much,
have
sir.
not
Thank you so much.
seen, if you know, for those who are okay, yeah, thank you. For those who have not probably seen the episodes we are talking
The
about,
series.
yes, series,
Yeah.
to download everything we have said and to connect back to everything we have said, just take your time, not being so busy, but to truly
Yeah,
get
what,
everything.
yeah.
Take your time to
Watch the series.
watch the series
The
and
Anatomy of Poverty.
Four episodes on
you'll be glad you did. And don't just listen, practice what you listen. You might listen, don't just hear, listen, understand, and put into practice what you're hearing.
Preacher.
Make sure you follow, subscribe, and share this video to a loved one. We love
And to your
you.
enemies. Share to your enemies too. All right, guys. See you on the next one.
Bye.